A disturbing case here in Foggy Bottom tonight, and investigators were passing out this flyer looking for a suspect involving a violent robbery. In the neighborhood where the attack occurred, a very strong police presence. Officers handed out flyers to residents asking for help, and this is why. An 83-year-old woman who works as a street vendor near the Foggy Bottom Metro stop is followed by the suspect. He stops her, begins to threaten her, and then he punched her. Seconds later, he kneels over her and takes her fanny pack and quietly walks away.
Shouldn't happen to anybody, but you have to imagine, you know, somebody's got to be pretty sick to be doing something like that to a senior citizen like that.
As the surveillance tape continues to roll, several people come to the woman's rescue. She's quickly rushed to the hospital. In the community where it happened, anger and disgust.
I think it's a shame. There's a lot of elderly people in the neighborhood. I know I volunteer up at St. Mary's Court, and it would really break my heart to see the women that I work with be attacked like that.
I don't know what's going through that guy's mind. You know, that's pretty brutal. I don't know. I can imagine doing something like that. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
For now, police continue passing out information about the attack and hoping you might recognize the man in this video who robbed and beat an innocent 83-year-old woman.
I want him off the streets.
Soon?
Very soon.
And the victim is still in the hospital tonight. We're told she's in stable condition. I'm Greg Starddard, reporting live, News 4. Good evening from Bowling Green, Virginia. We have some late-breaking details to share with you. The police chief came out just a short time ago and told us that the 4 people who were killed are in their 40s and 50s. As you can imagine, a lot of sadness here at the Boy Scout Jamboree tonight. It all happened when they were trying to put up a tent, and all 4 were electrocuted. The deadly accident took place on the grounds of Fort A.P. Hill in Bowling Green, Virginia, near Richmond. More than 40,000 scouts had gathered for the National Boy Scout Jamboree. The 4 scout leaders were killed when they were trying to set up a tent. The center pole apparently came into contact with power lines, electrocuting the 4 adults. According to the organization's website, the 4 men were from a Boy Scout troop in Anchorage, Alaska. 2 other people were injured, but they're expected to recover. The organization has sent out its sympathies and prayers to the families of those who were killed, and they're promising a thorough investigation.
We now know that 4 Boy Scout adults from the Western Alaska Council were killed today. Their families are being notified. We want to reassure the parents of our scouts by keeping them informed, and information will be available at bsajamboree.org.
Now, counselors have been brought in to help the Boy Scouts, but we do understand at this hour that none of those Boy Scouts were injured. Once again, 4 scout leaders are dead tonight, electrocuted while trying to set up a tent. The center pole apparently came into contact with power lines. I'm Greg Starddard, reporting live, News 4. Doreen?
Greg, thank you.
Greg Starddard is in Herndon now with more on this. Greg?
That hearing finally started about an hour ago, and right behind me you can see that they've set up a big screen for the overflow crowd. It's a very controversial issue, and a lot of people here in Herndon have a strong opinion.
The people united will never be defeated.
On one side of this emotional issue, workers in favor of a day labor site in Herndon.
Enforce our laws! Enforce our laws! Enforce our laws!
And a few feet away, residents who argue many of the workers are in the country illegally.
I find it rich that they clamor for justice while violating the law of the land by crossing the border illegally.
And I think it hurts poor Americans all across the board because it cuts their wages, and a lot of employers prefer to hire the illegals so they can get away with paying them less.
The application you have before you this evening is a conditional use permit for a temporary day worker assembly site.
It's a delicate issue facing the Herndon Planning Commission and the Town Council, whether to spend $170,000 of taxpayer money to move the workers to a designated employment site with social workers and English tutors. Many of the Latino men who've been gathering outside the 7-Eleven looking for work say they desperately need help.
We've been standing in the 7-Eleven for years,
some people has been there for years. I've been there for 1 year. But I think it's time for us to have our own place, our own job sites.
No matter what ethnic background you are, this is a community where we have to relate to one another and be human to one another and respect the dignity of a worker.
A tough decision for Herndon government officials, but some claim it's an issue facing the entire country.
It's a national issue that we refuse to deal with, and the result is this. We have borders that are porous.
And we're back live here in Herndon. You see some of the residents outside City Hall watching on a big screen. If they don't finish up tonight, we understand they'll come back Wednesday for more public hearing. A final vote could come in 3 weeks. I'm Greg Starddard reporting live, News 4.
We want to get the latest on that stabbing at Wheaton Plaza. Greg?
It's a developing story at this hour, and Montgomery County police officers still on the scene. You can see one of the paramedic units still here assessing what is going on. Here's what we know at this point. According to officials, 4 people have been stabbed. As we understand it, all of them were teenagers between the ages of 16 and 19 years old. 2 of those victims were transported by helicopter. Take a look at some of the video that was shot just a short time ago. Chopper 4 high above the scene. We had the opportunity to speak to one witness. She says she was inside of the target, and according to the witness, she says she saw about 15 men run out of a bathroom. She says a couple of them staggered, a couple of them collapsed. She says they were stabbed, they were bleeding. At that point, she says some of the other people called 911, and of course police officers arrived a short time later. Again, just to recap what we know at this point, 4 people have been stabbed. We believe all of them are teenagers between the ages of 16 and 19 years old. I'm Greg Starddard reporting live, News 4. Susan?
All right, thank you, Greg.